All right, boys, strap in and get ready. This is going to be a little bit of a complex one, but this is absolutely incredibly important. I'm going to go over our equity split calculator. Now, what is this used for? Well, it can be used for two things. You know, at Investing Storage, Ben and I, one of our major pushes is to find folks that are out there and are either sitting on a deal, sitting on some land. They know an uncle who's ready to sell his land, whatever. You have the perfect spot to build self-storage. But there's a lot that goes into this, right? A lot more than, hey, I got a good deal. To bring these things across the finish line, we often kind of make this pitch look, self-storage is such a great asset class, great real estate asset class. But one, let's be honest, it's not just real estate. This is not passive investing. This is full-time. This is legit. You can set it up in an automated way. You can put in policies, procedures, and technologies to make it easy to do. And that's exactly what we do here. And we operate these things like machines, but it's not an easy task. So there is a lot that goes into this, and that's what this equity split calculator addresses, is like, how much does each aspect of the deal, how much is it worth? On the other side of things, this is very useful, a useful tool if you're considering getting into a syndication. So as a syndicator, as a person investing in syndications, you may kind of think, oh, where are these numbers coming from? Well, that answer can be somewhat complex, and there's a lot of ways to look at it. But I think in general, there's two ways you can look at a deal. One, you can look at every little aspect of what went into the deal, like we're going to do here. Or, and sometimes a better way to look at a deal is just look at it from your point of view. Okay, if my very first syndication, looked into it, it was with an absolute great team of syndicators. I can talk more about them at some point or reach out and I'll recommend them to you. But, these guys make plenty of money off of these deals. Obviously, that's why they're these guys that are doing these awesome deals, right? And I'm like, man, they're making so much and their capital contribution isn't a crazy amount, But then I look at the amount I'm making, and well, I am currently making off of my first syndication still, and it was great, 15, 20, 25% returns per year. And it's like, okay, you've heard of sunk cost fallacy, right? This concept that like, well, I already did all this, I might as well continue with it, regarding something that, well, you probably shouldn't continue. Or I already spent all this money on repairing this car, I might as well just keep the car. It's like, maybe it's better to just take your car and get rid of it, right? I think of a kind of analogous scenario, which is what I call like jealousy fallacy, or like, hey, this guy is making X amount on the deal. He's winning. I'm winning. And you got two options, right? You can negotiate, and you can nitpick, and you can slow down the deal, and you can waste a bunch of time. And I guess you got three options. You can do that and try to get an extra percentage point here or there. You can just back out of the deal and say, I don't like it, I'm not going to participate. Or you can just participate in the deal, which is kind of my strategy with all of my investments. It's like, if it's a win for me and it's a win for you, and we've already taken the deal so far, why waste time? Why negotiate too much? I have so much stuff to do, and I focus on the things that matter to me. And that isn't always, oh, what's this other guy getting? How's he getting one over me on me? Like, if the deal's good, it's safe, especially as a limited partner in a syndication, your main issues are, of course, returns, but the risk associated with it, right? You don't have to sign on the dotted line. You're not doing any work. It truly is passive, and that's the benefit of being an LP in these deals. So that all being said, let's look at exactly how, if you bring a deal to us, and again, we're very transparent with what we do because we think it's a win-win for everybody. You bring us this awesome piece of land. You do the demand study, right? Go to the Copper Group, get the demand study, pay for it. It's worth every single penny. Copper says, let's do it. This thing is awesome. It has a high likelihood of success. I think he ranks it in four different degrees, basically, like low likelihood, probably not good, probably good, definitely good. It's something like that. You can dig into these Copper Group studies. Absolutely amazing. And you're like, all right, I got this deal. I got it. My uncle's ready to sell it, or I already got it under contract, or I got it under an options contract, or whatever. I want to do it. I don't know how to get it across the finish line. how do we break it down? What am I worth? What is this worth? Well, let's check it out. So, the components of the deal. Number one, the bird dog, and I labeled these just, kind of kitschy, kind of fun little thing. Helps you remember them. The bird dog, the guy that sources the deal. We know deals are, there's a million of them, right? There's always deals out there. It's the deal that's worth the right amount, getting it for the right price, the deal that actually has demand in the area. There's a million deals. So, bird dog, he gets 2% of the deal, sourcing the deal. And how does this work exactly? This is how much the bird dog is worth and how much Investing Storage, and in this deal, which is a sample $1.5 million deal, we'll say $1.5 million deal, the 15% down payment. So to close on this deal, it probably ends up being more with some little closing costs or whatever, but you're bringing $225K to close on this deal. The bird dog, which if you bring us the deal, obviously, you'd be 100% the bird dog, 2%. And here you go. How much does this theoretical partner get? Well, he gets 100% of that, obviously, because you brought it to Old Investing Storage. Easy. Next, the finisher, the legal stuff, the closing, the relations with the bank, the relationships with the actual developers or the city that has to go into closing this thing. There's a lot that goes into this, and that also gets down to the next one, which is going to be the DD money and the risk capital. But taking this thing across the finish line, taking a deal across the finish line, that's we put 3% here, and of course our partner's involved in this, absolutely. But there is a lot that goes into it, and look, every single one of these you can negotiate these percentages. Where are they coming from? These percentages, well, I don't like to use the term industry standard because, well, it's kind of a BS kind of concept. Is there a ISO standard for how each member of a deal is, how much they're worth and how you break down equity? No, the International Standards Organization does not make any comments onto what the bird dog is worth, So this term industry standard, take it with a grain of salt. Again, being fully transparent here. This is like industry standard. So where did I get it from? Multiple deals I've been involved in, multiple people that I've spoken with, multiple other people that use this, multiple other folks that use this same type of model, right? Like the same way to say how much is each person worth, because you got to figure it out. Or you can just look at your aspect of the deal. I know I said this before. It's like you can dig into every single one of these little things and say, what am I getting? What is my percentage? Blah, blah, blah. Or you can just look at the deal and say, hey, I've done X, Y, and Z so far. I've brought X amount of money. I'm putting this much skin in the game. I am or am not signing on the dotted line. Is the deal itself, forget breaking down every little aspect, where the numbers came from. You just say, look, I've taken the deal this far. Is it worth it to me? All right, so let's keep going. The finisher, so important. There's a lot of stuff that goes into finishing these deals, a lot of work. Guys are going to make you do stuff. You might not want to do it. You still got to do it, whatever. 3%. So Investing Storage, that's us. We push these deals across the finish line. We will claw. We will do everything we can, and we will make these deals work if they're a good deal. Skin in the game. The skin in the game, one of two. That's your DD money, right? And again, the way this thing works is how much do we think of all the skin in the game, risk capital and due diligence money is worth 5%. Because, you can lose the deal before you've even done your due diligence, right? And this money's just lost. So, how much is the partner putting in? Let's say in this theoretical deal, our partner puts down no due diligence money. He doesn't have any money down. So Investing Storage is doing all the studies, doing all of the spending all the money basically to talk to lawyers to make sure that this is approved, to actually get the copper study. We highly encourage you to do some of this, especially at least get that demand study. If you're bringing us a good deal and you really think it can work, first step, you go get a copper group study, because if you think it's going to work, it's like $2,000 something bucks. Just pay for the best study in the industry. So skin in the game, one of two. In this case, our sample guy is not contributing any skin in the game with the DD money or the risk capital. The money man, who's this? Well, this is the guy that's actually putting that $225,000 down payment, right? The money man, which this deal particularly has no passive investors in that, like, we're not syndicating this deal and we're not raising it from these outside LPs. So in that kind of scenario, this money man changes to being those folks. In general, you're in a syndication, your general partners are putting their own money down as well, and they're participating almost as an LP, even though they're GPs, if that makes sense. They're contributing to that like pot of LP money, if you will. And then the actual LPs are these people that you find, these investors, right? These they can be either accredited or non-accredited investors, but that's what I was in my first deal. I was a full LP. Of course, the people putting together the deal also put down some of their own money as well. So the money man, and that's for the down payment, right? And that's worth 25%. So in this particular deal, you can negotiate this. Most deals, and you might even consider changing this a little bit, most deals are actually going to be like probably 25% down payment. Now, we have a very good trusted bank that will do 15% down, which obviously we're a fan of. Less money down is in general better. So, this 25%, I actually think this is a tad bit high. We're just keeping it there. But yeah, what is it worth? The guy that brings the money, just the money, not the development, not the guarantor signing on the loan, just the guy that brings the money. What is that worth? Just bringing that money and doing nothing else, aka in most syndications, the LP, right? And then that GP part of that pot that they put in a little bit, that's worth 25%. So you put down so then you say like, oh, I put down all the money. These syndicators or the folks investing in syndications put down all this money. What is that worth? It's worth 25% because there's a lot else that goes into these deals. And then also investing storage, it's Ben and I. So we split this part 50-50. So 25% for the money man. Next, skin in the game 2 out of 2. This is the guarantor or the loan guarantor who's actually at risk, right? And as a limited partner in most of these syndications, or at least all the ones that I've been a part of, you are not a guarantor for this loan. The only thing you would ever lose is the money that you put in on the deal. Normally you have a preferred return as well, which is a whole other concept, but normally you have a preferred return. Your skin in the game is just that initial money, and this 15% refers to that guarantor on the actual loan. If this thing really gets effed to all high heavens, you are the one. Your money, your house, your family is on the line. That's your guarantor. And hey, guess what? We have a lot of confidence in these deals, boys. We are glad to be the guarantor. In this particular case, this sample deal, the guy, theoretically, let's just say he doesn't want to have any risk, which is actually fine, right? It's like, my uncle has this land. I'm going to bring it to you. I don't have any money, or maybe you do and you want to put some money down as well, but I don't have any money. I'm not going to do any part of the GP contribution, and I don't want to even sign on the loan. I'm just bringing you this awesome deal. Okay, fine. The planner, expansion, development, construction, zoning. There's a lot that goes into this, and I actually kind of like to divide this up into 2 parts. You have your initial, if this is a new build or a rehab type concept, then there's that first bit, right? The new build and making sure that goes well, or the new rehab where the whole thing does fine, and you make sure this thing gets up and running, and the value add type stuff, installing new technologies, all that. And then after that first stage, you have kind of the second stage, which is like, how can we take this facility, which a lot of facilities aren't maxed out, even new builds sometimes. Now you're trying to build to like the best degree, but you can squeak out, and I say squeak out, but you can squeeze out a lot more money out of some of these facilities if you know what you're doing, if you can think and get creative, understand the market. So the initial expansion, development, construction, blah, 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 and then the secondary. So why do I say that whole part about the secondary? Well, If you want nothing to do with the deal, you don't want to do any help on the development or nothing like that, this will be lower. But some of the guys that we're talking to with this land, we call them first timers. If you're one of these first timers, you're like, hey, I'm a general contractor. I'll run this deal for you. I will build this thing and make sure it's awesome. It's like, hell yeah, man. Well, then you can be a major part of this. And you see in this sample deal, Investing Storage is doing a large portion, if you will, of this planning, expansion, development, construction. And then our partner, whoever, Joe Schmo, he says, yeah, actually, I do live by the facility. I'll try to go by as often as I can. I'm going to make sure this thing does well. And then, again, side note, if future expansion is planned, it's like if the big value add to this facility is not that initial rehab, but it's a year or two down the road, and, Investing Storage is obviously going to be the one that handles that. Ben and I will handle that, mostly thinking and planning and understanding this market as it gets up and running. Then you would put more percentage of this planning towards us related to that future expansion or future value add. The planner. Next, the ops. Who's actually running the facility? You see, this is 30% of the deal. This is Investing Storage. I mean, this is where the facility lives or dies. And I mentioned this before. I know poorly run facilities, and honestly, one of the best things I've ever seen or been a part of was a facility that really wasn't run properly by a team that I thought was a pretty good team. I was pretty disappointed in them. But that said, I see what they did wrong. I see what I try to do, what we try to do at Investing Storage and our operations, and fine tuning all these things, constantly reflecting and really optimizing every little aspect of our facility. I see what we do there, and I've seen how it's been done poorly by even experienced operators. And so, anyways, 30% of the deal, obviously. There's my little boy. You want something to drink? How about this? Let's finish off this equity split calculator, and then what do you want? You want some coconut? All right, coconut coming up soon. Not coconut? All right, so, okay, give me 10 seconds, all right? Then, finally, the investor bro. This is the guy that raises the capital, right? So if you have, baby, what do you think about raising money? You want to help raise money? Yeah? So the guy that raises the money and finds the investors. This is your investor relations guy, and this is more relevant. I actually take this percentage up if you are syndicating this deal and you're having to find a bunch of investors. What do you want to drink again? Tell everybody. Tell them.
Apple juice.
Apple juice. All right. Apple juice it is. All right, guys. Hopefully you got a lot out of this. Long story short, you take these percentages and you decide how much Investing Storage is contributing and how much you are contributing. Those feed back into the calculation up here, which if you look at the numbers, it's adding up all these percentages. This should always add up to 100%, right? Because it's this subtotal. This should always percentage of the GP, percentage of the actual total equity in this particular case, should always add up to here. If you guys got any questions, let us know. Baby, are you ready to get some apple juice? You're playing with Chompy? All right, say bye to everybody. Say bye to everybody. Come on. This is a big video.
Bye.
Oh, are you saying bye or is Chompy saying bye?
Chompy.
Okay, well, you got to say bye too.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Have a good one. Baby. Great video, baby.